in the scripted space who had shows that were kind of successful in the same time, who have things like residuals, who've bought, homes in Malibu, and they're like, you guys don't. I'm like, my residual, my commerce, the money, the worth in that is the lives that were changed and the amount of people, thousands at this point, who have stopped me from every corner of the earth and say, because of you, it was safe to come out. Because of you, I got to better understand my uncle, brother, cousin, sister, aunt, nephew. That was the part of, for me, that I'm like, it was worth it. And, I'm a theater kid, so it's like, we're so used to working for nothing and doing a lot of work, and I don't get me wrong. I think probably Queer Eye Paid is probably what was appropriate back then. I still wish residuals were a thing, but outside of that, I will say it was more about the outside work and where society was when I speak about money, and because I like that people like Viola Davis and even. Allison Sweetie, what's her name? The girl from Euphoria talked about the money in entertainment. I think people have a very bizarre idea of how that works.
I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
I think people have, there's George Clooney and there's Julia Roberts. We have Ellen Pompeo.
Like the 1% of Hollywood who
Right.
doesn't have to worry.
Right.
And the pandemic taught me a lot of people have side hustles behind the scenes that we don't know about. And so, I'm just really thankful that I'm not defined by the work I do, and you can have peaks, ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys. And my worth as a human does not change based on how the world at that moment views my relevancy. I'm no longer attached to, I need to be on the biggest show. Like, I feel like at this point now, being middle-aged, because 43 is middle age.
I'm right there with you, babe.
I feel like your quality of life and if you're happy and if you're doing good things in the world, I mean, who cares? Like, you may do the best work on some show that no one watches, and you may get on a show that everybody's watching, and you're like, it's okay, So you, at the end of the day, have to feel good about yourself when your head hits that pillow.
I agree with all of that. I say that all the time. I mean, in this industry, not everyone gets there, and most people don't.
And I also feel like that's the statement of, when I make it, erase that thought. When you get to a space where you get to do work you're proud of, you've made it. Because the idea of having consistent work where you're going to bounce from gig to gig to gig, I haven't met very many people, even the A-listers, who feel like they're in that place. The big apps, they might make more money than me and you, might have a little more in the bank to just sit pretty between gigs than the rest of us. But, I think the idea of constantly creating and being paid equitably is the goal. But it may not always be as consistent as you want in this industry.
I agree. I mean, so you were on Malibu Country.
That was the first series regular as a scripted actor for me, and I became the first guy off reality to become series regular on a network show.
Right. And so was it hard to get a network show or just parts, because like you said,
I was
someone
so
saying
close so many times.
I
would get a pilot and it would get put on hold, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be it. I did this show called HMS, Harvard Med School, with Amy Holden Jones, who created The Resident on Fox, and Megan Boone from Blacklist, the lead female on that. She was the star, and I was like her gay bestie, and it was about first year Harvard medical students. It was for the CW. It was the year Hellcats and Nikita got picked up, and we were put on hold in case one of those failed. We were going to jump in, and it didn't end up happening, but that would have been 2 or 3 years before Malibu Country. So when I got this, I think there was a part of me that thought, I've made it. I've legitimized myself, and no one cared. People liked the show, but no one was there with roses and a sash and a crown. And that was my inner story, going back to that guy in that room who told me I couldn't and I wouldn't, and there was no room for me in Hollywood. It was the undertone. I realized that in those moments, the only person I was fighting with was my inner saboteur, right? And so that taught me a lot. Working with Reba and Lily Tomlin, first on set, knew all their lines. The energy on set trickles down from the top. So if number 1 and 2 on the call sheet are prepared and kind and treat everyone graciously, that's the kind of set you're going to be on. And that's the kind of set I was on. But it was the first time I'd been on a set where a writer's room was writing for me, not that there was a script already that I had to step into. And that was really profound and wonderful. And Michael and Mindy, who produced the show for ABC, it was special. That was a special moment for me. I should really give shout out to Ryan Murphy, who I auditioned for and got my first big guest star in LA was on Nip Tuck.
Yes, it was. One
had
of
an
the
oversized
best
nipple.
shows ever.
Yeah. It was episode 5, season 5, when the show moves to LA. I played this fashion stylist who my bestie was on the show. My bestie, friend, character, finagles a free surgery for me. But after that, people were like, oh, yeah, we'll see him for that. I had a lot of people who would see me as a novelty because they were Queer Eye fans. And then ultimately I would get the part. And then when you're doing episodics, especially guest stars, you got to be on someone's favorite show for them to know you did something. I would get on like Bones, but like season 8 or something. Grey's Anatomy, but season 14. Some people not watching anymore.
I still watched you on Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still right there in Shondaland, but go on.
Yeah, so it's funny, but like I think at that time, especially in my 30s, I was so chasing that so hard, thinking I had to like, whatever. Now it's like I think also the self-taping, like we don't audition in person anymore. Having the space to just do the audition on my terms at home feels more like on set, because on set, you've got time to prepare, and you've had a couple days maybe with the script. It feels like I can give my best performances, and I think that's why I've had such a busy 2 years. I'm better at home. I don't know. No, I can get rid of the I need to impress someone, and I can create the parameters of like, sometimes you're across from a casting director and they are just flat as hell and you're meant to be super dramatic in the scene. But I can create that at home, And so, there's been a shift. I mean, it's wild.
Do you credit Ryan Murphy just because of Nip Tuck?
I think about him often because he was in my callback, and I was so flabbergasted because I love Nip Tuck, and I was a diehard fan at the time. And to see him in person, I remember my heart was pitter patter. And he has an affinity for putting people with a little novelty or sparkle in his shows that aren't known by the general public to be actors, but can do it. And I had the pedigree. I was like, I already got the training, I got the skills. People wouldn't let me into the auditions, and once that changed, then I kept getting good auditions and good bookings of dramatic roles, and I was like, this is fun, and then I think I found the joy in it when after Malibu Country, I was like, I felt like, okay, I did it. Like I was series regular. Now, yes, I want to continue to do that, but if it happens, it happens. Now let's lean into the quality of life, and that show, I think anytime you have a big boost in momentum, whether it be like on television or anything in entertainment, a lot of charities reach out, and you get to find out about a lot of causes who want you to use your platform to help amplify them. And while I still work for a lot of charities and use my small little social media platform for that and in-person events, when you get the bigger platform and you're able to do bigger media, you feel so empowered that you get to be a voice for the little person and shed some light on them. And by the way, the little people are doing some of the biggest work.
Yeah. Yes and yes. So it really, I didn't realize Nip Tuck. I mean, I know it was one of your early guests. I didn't realize that was
the tipping point here in LA. Yeah. And then shortly after that, I booked, all these dramatic roles, like on Bones playing a murderer. And I remember booking, this is wild. I remember booking, I wanted to go into audition for a Chelsea Handler sitcom, and they wouldn't see me because the character was straight, married, had 5 kids, but moonlit as a drag queen. And they said, well, we know he could do the drag part. We just don't think he's believable as a straight man. And my agent said, one of my clients got a audition time, but he can't go. Just take that show up. And I was like, can I do that? He's like, I mean, technically no, but just what are they going to say to you? They're going to tell you no? Go. I went. And, they were in their office, and they come out and they're like, hi. Like, what are you doing here? And I was like, hey, how are you? Good to see you. So I got the sides. I'm like super excited. So they saw me because they had to. I don't suggest you do this. And I booked it. And I booked it. And casting was super gracious and kind, but they said no originally. And, so I've had to kind of weasel my way into things. And I think now I'm so thankful to have like a resume where you need to see me play a womanizing cop, I got that. You need to play a fabulous gay, I got that. Murderer, got that. Straight bro, gamer, I got that. Like, I have it already. So if people want to come at me and say, you can't, I'd be like, but I did.
You did. Were you ever close? Like you said, you had all these pilots, and were you ever close to like a part that we all know?
Yes. And I don't know if I'm allowed to. Are we allowed to say?
Yeah, it's years later.
I feel like okay.